Ciao, welcome back to Geriatric Alpha Runt Productions. My name is Garp here on YouTube, and we are in part 3 of our interview with Francis Curry, and we are going to talk about your health scare that you had.
Sure.
Please tell us about that.
Sure. So it goes, so I told you I'm in the healthcare field, right? So being in it as long as I have, one of the things we have a tendency to do, I think anybody that's in their field for a period of time, you become pretty knowledgeable. So I self-diagnose. So I have this habit of, oh, something's going on. Oh, I wonder if it's this. I do some research. And then because of the work I had done, Anthony, for so long, like I literally have a Rolodex of physicians I can call like almost anywhere in the country, you know, maybe not Wyoming and maybe not Maine, but anywhere else, like I've got somebody that I can reach out to. So I'm doing a transaction in Houston, and we're putting a linear accelerator, piece of radiation therapy equipment into a hospital. So it's a vault. You do lasers to knock cancer out of the body. Could be the brain, could be anywhere else in the body, right? So I'm with these doctors for, golly, probably a better part of 3 months. And I drink wine, right? And one of the other doctors and I, like, we had this affinity for wine together, so we would drink. And we were coming off a night where we maybe had a nice bottle, and he said, "Oh, how you doing today?" And I said, "Man," I said, "it is the strangest darn thing. Do you realize I can eat or drink certain things and change the color of my stool?" He looks at me and he goes, You're actually a really damn good accountant, but you are a terrible physician. That's not how this works, right? Wow. And so at the same time, I had diverticulitis. So I had a portion of my intestine that had pockets in it. So, an intestine's like a tube. Think of like a hot dog tube, sausage tube. And when you get these pockets, things begin to form inside of that skin. And then they get infected, and then you have these problems. So at the same time that I'm changing the color of my stool, I'm having a diverticulitis attack. And I knew this. And so I said to him, "Look, I'm having an event again. Would you write a script for me?" And he goes, "Fran," he goes, "Look," he goes, this is the second or third time. I've got to scope you. I've got to see what's going on. This is more than just a flare-up. And if it is just a flare-up, then we can knock out that you got nothing else going on." So he said, "I'm going to do a top-side scope. I'm going to do a bottom-side scope, and we're going to see what's going on." And this is 2009. This is December 6th of 2009. And he comes out, and he was going on vacation with his family. They were going skiing, and so he wasn't going to be able to wait for me to come out. And he knew my wife. He knew my wife as well. And so he pulls her into a room, closes the door, and Trace will always say, like, "That's when you know this isn't going to be good." And he says, he's got cancer. He goes,
and like right away after he tested you, or this is weeks after he got results?
This is 5 minutes after the scope. He said, "It's broken through the colon wall. The tumor is on the outside of his intestine. So it's moving. So we have to get him into surgery now." Whew. I go into surgery 2 weeks later, 3 weeks tops, like right at the end of the year. They take out a third of my colon. That's when they stage you. That's when they say, yes, it really is cancer, and this is what stage you are. And there's 4 stages, 4 obviously being the worst. I was 3A. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, it had moved to my lymph nodes. So because it had moved to my lymph nodes, and it didn't move to, like, the difference between A and B is the number of lymph nodes that it's moved to. So I was below the big number, but I still had it. I don't remember. It was an odd number, 3, 5, or 7 of lymph nodes that had shown cancerous activity. So tumor was on the move. It was so what it tries to do, Anthony, is it tries to attach itself to an organ. Could be the lungs, could be the brain, could be the liver. But that's typically what colon cancer will do. Testicular is a direct line to the brain. So like they each have their thing, right? So, and I'm 45 years old at the time, right? So Brynlyn, she's our youngest. She's in grade school. And Briley's in high school, and Brittany's off to college. So she's in that, she just done the Olympic trial thing, didn't work out. She's off to college now to finish up. So that's like what's going on in the house. So a lot of crazy stuff, right? At the same time, my mom was going through breast cancer, and Tracy's mom was going through breast cancer. And Tracy's mom was with us in Houston. So it was just a lot, right? So it wasn't just me. I mean, there was a lot going on at this point in time. The kids are growing up, and there was a lot. There was teenage girls, a lot of stuff. So it's determined I have to get chemo, or it's recommended that I do chemo. And I was going to do it. I'm 45. I mean, I wanted to keep going. So, you always say this to the doc, like, well, how bad is it, right?
Yeah.
How fast
did you
is
ask
this?
him, like, am I going to die? What's going to happen here?
So they'll never tell you that. But I said, how bad is it? And he goes, oh, it's fast. This is very aggressive. I said, oh, wow. How long have I had it? And he said, 4 to 6 years. Like,
oh my God.
In my world, that's not fast, but in his world, like, that was fast. So I had it, obviously in my 40s, and did not know it. And he said, if you would not have gone under and gotten scoped, it would have moved to your liver or your lungs, and you wouldn't have seen 50. And I'm 61. So, so
unbelievable.
I didn't have to do chemo, but I opted to do it. It's a numbers thing. It improved my likelihood of survival from like below 50% to 85%. Wow, so that math to me seemed like, 15% still big, but over the course of time.
What did chemo consist of?
Oh, dude, chemo was brutal. So it was a 3-day process. So I would sit in a chair, I'd get hooked up to I had a port installed in my heart.
Oh.
And so under the skin, so there's some funny stories though that come out of this too. So what they would do is they'd hit me with the chemo in the chair in the oncologist suite. When that first bag would finish, I would get the second bag. They'd put it in a bag with a pump, and I would take it home. That was on a Monday, and then I'd come back on a Wednesday because that's how long it took to put the residual of the toxins into me. So I started that in February. So between December and February, I couldn't start because I had an infection from my incision site. And so, you all know, anybody that's rolled with me knows I'm an idiot. So I'm in the shower one day. I have to go down and visit my oncologist, and like, my incision site is swelled up. It's red. I've done the pen, so I know it's expanding. The infection is growing. And Anthony, I'm like, my stomach is distending. Like it's becoming bad, right? So I'm in the shower and I just push on it and it bursts. Like, so,
oh my God.
So I've got pus just coming out of me, and I'm like, and I'm going, oh, that is so much better. And Trace goes, what are you doing in there? I said, I've popped my incision. Like, I am relieving.
Oh
and
my God,
she's
Francis.
like, you have to stop. And so she's calling the doctor. She's like, get down here right away, right? So, and I just keep doing it. So they end up taking out all the staples, and they said, well, now it's got to heal from the inside out. So now I've got this open wound. Like a fillet, right? And I've got to debride it and clean it every day, right?
Oh, Mama Mia.
So I couldn't start my chemo right away, and I'm getting mad because I really want to start it. So surgeon's a friend of mine. So he goes, well, come in, let me take a look at it. Maybe we can accelerate the wound recovery. So I stop at Party City and I buy an eyeball. And I take the eyeball and I put it in my wound, and I put the bandage back over the top. I'm like, I'm going to get this guy. I'm going to make him laugh, right? So, and he's very stoic, right? So I'm laying down on the table, and he pulls off the bandage. He goes, oh, that's really funny. And he takes the eyeball out and he puts it to the side, right?
Didn't move.
I'm like doing this stuff all the time. So like, that's one funny story. I'm down at MD Anderson. So I'm like at the cancer institute of the world, right? My doctor's late. I get pissed off when people are late. So she made the mistake of not shutting down her computer. So now I log on. Well, I can see the whole dashboard for the hospital, the financial dashboard. So I can see everything they're doing. I can see how much cash they have on hand. I can see all the imaging procedures they've done. So Tracy's like, knock it off. You're going to get caught. I'm like, whatever. So I'm doing all this. She walks in and she goes, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm looking at your financial dashboard. She pulls up a chair and says, I've been trying to figure this out for like 4 years. Would you tell me how this works? We spent the next half hour going through the MD Anderson.
Get out of here.
It's just, personality has something to do with it, right? But everybody at the end of the day, they're humans. So, what comes out of it, Anthony, is I get enrolled then with Immerman Angels. So I'm a mentor. So I mentor people now that are going through. Part of the reason that Immerman wanted me to do it, I was 2 chemo treatments in, and I didn't want to I wanted to show the girls that you can get through it, right? So I ran my first marathon after my second treatment, or did the Austin. We did half of the half. So Tracy and a really good friend of mine and his girlfriend at the time, we did the Austin half marathon. Then I finished my chemo in July, ran the Chicago Marathon in October, ran Boston Marathon that following February.
Unbelievable.
Ran Chicago Marathon again, and then did the Ironman, did a full Ironman in Houston. 2.4 mile swim, 110 mile bike, 26 mile run, right? So the whole point was just to show, like, it's not physical, it's mental. And then Immerman Angel says, hey, would you be a mentor? Because we got a lot of people that are like you that want to be athletes or want to continue with their athletic journey, but they don't know what this looks like on the other side of their treatment. So I continue to do that. A great organization. They line you up with, your personality profile, and then, any candidates that are coming into the system. There's going to be criteria that matches you. And so we do that. So yeah, crazy stories, funny stories. But at the end of the day, it was a connection to people. So like one of the other things I would do down at MD Anderson, the hardest part is when I always say you go behind the magic curtain. Like we've all been in the hospital and they take your loved one away and they go behind this closed door. Well, what happens behind the closed door? Like everybody wants to know, right? Is there pixie dust? Are there magic beans? Like what happens back there? And so I always wanted to bring levity. I bring levity to everything, right? Now I don't take myself too seriously. So when you go behind the curtain, especially at MD Anderson, I saw a lot of young people. I mean, 30s, 20s, teens, kids. And that's hard for me. That's always hard for me to take a look at, right?
Wow.
So on a given day, there would be, oh golly, Anthony, for my 1 hour that I'm there, I might be with 60 other people that are getting imaged. So you think about that, multiply by 10 hours, 12 hours a day, 6 locations down in Houston. It's a lot of people, right? Going through I call it the sausage grinder. So I would always wear my cowboy boots, all right? And I'd have my hospital gown on and nothing underneath it, right? Because they're gonna bottom side enema, right? I'd never tie my gown. And they're like, don't you want to tie your gown? I'm like, no. They're like, everybody can see your back end. I'm like, maybe gives them something to laugh at, right? So I'd have to drink 3 bariums, right? 2.5 topside, and then the last half, it goes in through the backside, right? So they can light up your whole colon, right? And so inevitably, they'd always ask, as they're dragging me back to the CT scanner, hey, do you want to use the washroom before you go back? I'm like, nah, I'm leaving that for you guys. It's just... no pun intended, you got to dump on them a little bit.
And so, Fran, that was in 2010, you said? Or 2008?
Yeah, that was 2010. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so, like, they pronounce you cancer-free at some point?
They do. So I was pronounced cancer-free in 2015. So it was a 5-year journey. I was getting imaged. Yeah, I'd go back. I'd go back every 3 months for scans. Then it was every 6 months. And then at the 5-year mark, it was once a year for another couple years. And now I'm to the point where I get a scope once every couple years. Like, I think I'm up to 3 or 5 years. I go back for a scope.
There's nothing that they can attribute this to.
There is. Yes. Actually, I'm glad you asked, because this was another part of the educational journey, right? And part of learning things. So one of the best things about MD Anderson is their research. It might be the only good thing about them is their research. So in that process, they're always mapping the gene ladder, right? And so the year that I was diagnosed is the year George Church from MIT actually sequenced the genome, all right? And so he's in Smithsonian Magazine. I'm like, I'm going to call this guy. I'm going to see if he'll do it for me. Like, I want to see if the girls have anything, right? So I'm talking to him. I said, hey, I just saw you sequence the genome. I'd like to have it done personally. He goes, oh, golly, we haven't figured that out yet. I'm like, we just did it. We just did it for the first time. I go, well, what do you think that would run me if you wanted to run another research project? He said, $64,000. I said, golly, I hope my girls don't have it. Because I'm not getting that test, right? And now we know 23andMe does it for what, $99, and it just keeps coming down. So what MD Anderson was doing at the same point in time, as you can imagine, hundreds of thousands of patients, right? And because of that, they're getting hundreds of thousands of tissue and blood samples and, all sorts of things, family histories. My cancer was attributable to my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, who had uterine cancer when she was in her 40s. And uterine cancer had, at that point in time anyway, had a direct link to the first grandson.
Get out of here.
Right?
They can figure this
That's
out?
what they did. Well, that's what they said. So,
Unbelievable.
that was part of it. Because I was diagnosed at 45, our daughters have to be screened at 35 for colon cancer. And so Britt's already been screened because she's met that. Bradley's about to meet that mark. And then because of my mother and Tracy's mom having breast cancer, they've had to start that screening even earlier.
Right.
So yeah, we've got a pretty cruddy gene pool when it comes to healthy genomes.
Amazing steps in science, though, that
Yes.
they're even able to. I mean, no
Absolutely.
wonder we're living to 100 when they're
Right.
able to do these things.
Right. And then if we partner with China, we'll just extract certain organs and be like Legos.
So the hard question is, Fran, with you having a young family and going through this, you must have given some thought to like, what happens if I die? Like
Sure.
these people
Right.
need me, right? I
Right.
mean, how
Right.
the fear.
Sure.
Like I know that
So-
that's my biggest fear right now
Right.
in life
Right.
is that like something's going to happen to me, and my wife and son are going to be left without me there
Right.
to steer the ship. That's
Right.
like my biggest fear in life.
Sure. And as a man, it should be. I mean, I think that's God put us in that role. Like we're supposed to run the families that way. We're supposed to be the spiritual guidance. We're supposed to provide the financial wherewithal. So that's our job. I mean, so I get that. It was, when we moved to Houston, it was 2000. I was working with a publicly traded company that literally, not like literally, but they went bankrupt while we were in the process of moving. Not while the truck pulled out of the driveway, but somewhere in between the truck leaving Nashville and the truck pulling into Houston. The company is bankrupt. So it was like, oh boy, that's when I landed with this investment banking firm. And so I was raised Catholic, ran away from the church, as most Catholics do. And so
This happens for sure.
yeah. Well, so with jiu-jitsu, we have the half Nelson, the full Nelson, and if you're Catholic, there's the Father Nelson. So let that resonate. So in running from the church, my business partners, they gave me a Bible. And they said, we do a Bible study every Monday night. Would you join us? I said, I've never had a Bible. Catholic school, I had nuns and priests for teachers, and yet they hired a layperson like you or me to teach religion. So I never read the Bible, right? So for 9 years, every Monday night, we would do a Bible study. And every Monday night, they would ask me, have you accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? And me, being who I am, and you know me, I'd go, not today, not yet. 9 years. Every Monday for 9 years, right? March 17th, 2009. Warm feeling over my chest, and I said, today's the day. Yeah, I accept Christ. December 6th of 2009, I'm diagnosed.
Unbelievable.
So people would say that he was looking out for me. Like he knew I needed him, and he knew I was going to enter a storm. Like I was going to have a period of life that was going to be pretty shitty. And Anthony, I never felt for a moment, I never felt that, oh my gosh, am I going to die? I literally felt that God had me here for a different purpose. So I didn't fear it then. I didn't fear it. Like Trace would say, some of my happiest days were going through cancer treatment because I was always reaching out for others. I was always there for other people that were going through it. So I never really saw myself in that way. When I got to the other side, and now, oh, you're cancer free. Then it was, am I really?
Right.
That's when the
Right. I
thoughts
can
started
imagine.
to creep in, but during the process, here's a good one for you. So a CT, like any CT study that you do, especially normal, not a low dose, but a normal CT, it's the equivalent of 11 packs of cigarettes. So when I would get imaged at MD Anderson, they would do a chest, abdomen, pelvis. Those are 3 CT studies. That's 33 packs of cigarettes 4 times a year. I said, you guys are going to give me cancer.
Right.
Like I've never smoked. I might as well be a smoker with what you're doing, right? So that's another part of like medical science where I was getting worried about that. I wasn't worried about the colon cancer anymore. I was worried about what was going to happen because of the amount of radiation that they're putting in me.
Right.
So, sometimes knowledge can be dangerous, but I didn't worry at the time, but I did worry afterwards. And then, I've gotten to the point in life where I'm not going to, I don't know that you're ever like, not afraid. I don't want to die. Like I want to watch my grandkids grow up. I want to watch my grandkids have kids. I want a quality of life. Like if I'm just sitting at the TV with drool running out of my mouth. Like Trace and I have a pact, like you won't find us.
Yeah, right.
You know, we're
No,
going out, but you know, Kevorkian was onto something about the quality and with,
For sure.
you know, with respect. But, you know, as long as everything is working and coming together, dude, I want to see how long this family run can go.
Right. And so I would ask you, what is it all about for you now? I mean, is it about your family? Because I oftentimes think, like, what is this really about? It's really about my wife and my son, and like making sure that they are okay and they have a good life. That's like what it's all about for me now.
Right.
And it's like, before I had that, it's like I for a long time was always searching for like, what's my purpose?
The purpose.
What's my purpose?
Right. Makes
and now
sense.
at 55, I actually have a purpose. So I can imagine your purpose is the same too, but being that I hold you in such high esteem, what is your purpose?
No, I appreciate that. I mean, I think we're equally yoked on that. So, but the purpose can't constrain you from being so afraid of letting it go, right? So to me, my purpose is similar to yours. You know, it is family first. I want to leave behind for my girls and my grandkids a legacy of values. And so part of what we're working on right now with our family trust is ensuring that it's not just a financial thing. Like, there's a value system that we want you guys to carry on. Rockefeller method, you know, like, we really want them to be contributing members of society. We want them to continue to push the ball forward, whether it's science or art, or it doesn't matter, but be a contributor, you know, give to the system, move the system forward. And Anthony, I think we share that at jiu-jitsu as well, especially with everybody that we're with. And I think they are all like-minded to this as well. Be a good partner, help people improve, right? So it could be incremental, it could be leaps and bounds, but it's just every day a little bit of progress. We don't control it, right? I mean, you know, you live to our ages and you begin to see, you know, death, and you begin to see it in accidents.
And realize that it happens to people, and it's going to happen to you too.
Right. And sometimes it can happen, you know, driving home, like things that you just don't expect, you don't even see, right? It's one thing, like when I was sick, it was, you know, if I could say goodbye to everybody and have a structured tap out, you know, that's one thing. Right? But what if it just happens like that? Like, you don't control the outcome. You're just taken. Like, you got to have, you want to make sure that things are in place, but at the same time, you don't control it. So you provide love, right? You love your wife, you love your son, you love your family, and you love your friends, your close friends, you know, and that's what I think it is. It's about expressing that love, and they may not accept it, you know, especially strangers, but one thing that you know, Randy would talk about, my boss, or some of the other folks that I work with in the church, it's Jesus would say, preach, or Paul would say, St. Francis would say, preach the gospel, and if necessary, use words. Like, let your actions speak. Right? Like, you can read it, you can believe it, but if you don't act it, how deep is it, right? And I always say that the problem I have, like, the distance between here and here is a lot longer than the distance between here and here.
Wow,
so
that's
I
good.
think pretty quick, and so I have a sharp wit, and it can cut. And I need to create a little bit more I need to either move my heart up further, or I got to put a buffer.
Well, you know, you said something earlier that really resonated me with when you said, when you're getting older and you start getting more, I forget exactly how you said it, but grouchy, narrow-minded, whatever it is. It's like, I find that I have less patience for the shit out there now.
Yes.
Like, I just want to keep my little,
I don't have tolerance.
my little, like, dome over the people that I care about, and keep all the shit out.
Right.
And
I struggle with tolerance right now.
For
you
real,
know,
dude, that's really great way to say it.
Right.
Struggle with tolerance.
With tolerance,
right now.
and part of it, and so I mean, I spent a lot of time doing
That's great,
this, and I think it's a value system. Like, when you share a value system, you and I could talk about anything. You and I could talk about things that we are so polar opposite on, but because we have a level of respect and a shared value system, we can talk that through. But you walk outside of here, and we see it in a lot of cities across the country. People aren't willing to hear the other person's viewpoint, or even learn the viewpoint. They've got their position, and everybody else is wrong, and there's no
Right.
room for your opinion in my world.
Right.
And that tolerance is just, and I'm struggling with it.
Me too. And you know what? It's like I like to sometimes blame it on, oh, I'm just an old cantankerous old man now. And I like just blow it off as that. But it's true. My patience
Yeah.
and my tolerance
Yeah.
is waning.
It's waning. It is. And that's to me is like that's the struggle and the issue that I grapple with. I mean, like I read the Bible every morning, and it's about that. Like, how am I going to soften my heart? Not anybody else's. How am I going to soften my heart to accept what others have to say or feel? And can I help? Can I like digest that and work it and move it forward?
As they always instruct us, is to ask God for His will.
Yes.
And not for what I want.
Right.
And it's like I always just want to go, well, can you get me this and that? And like,
Yeah.
I'd like this.
Well, go to Houston. Go to Joel Osteen. He's got the prosperity gospel. He's the one who gives it out. I think you pay $50 or $100 and you can get what you want.
Okay, yeah, right. All right, well, that was a great talk, Fran. I always feel
appreciate it.
inspired when you're willing to open up and talk about that. That's just it's such great stuff there. So we've got one more section. We're going to like open it up in part 4 to talk about some cars and some wine and things that are fun. So come back and join us for that.